everybody, welcome back to another episode. So happy to have you join us. Today we're going to be talking about several spinal stretches that you can do while at work that don't require you to have yoga pants on, lay on the ground, or actually get into a position that's not appropriate for the workplace. So I call them mindful minutes. I recommend stretching, drinking some water about once an hour, right? So if you want to do it on the hour, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, that gives you like a minimum of 6 opportunities throughout the day that you can do some gentle stretching on the spine. So one of the reasons I recommend these gentle stretches is because it actually helps decompress the spine in a useful way. So during the day, gravity has a tendency to pull us down. We lose our posturing and all of a sudden the muscles are working really hard in order to keep us upright. So in order to offset that, we've got to actually remind the spine and the muscles that our spine moves in several different directions, not just compressed down in the seat when we slouch down or we sit in meetings or we're on the phone with our head turned. So the first one we're going to talk about is, sometimes you can go straight up. I oftentimes recommend going all the way around and up, but this just actually helps to reground you. I'm going to call this the pencil for all intensive purposes, but this is going to help elongate your spine. You could do it seated as well. I oftentimes recommend doing it standing up. Now, obviously looking at from the side, you want to make sure that you do this in a way that it doesn't cause your posturing to fall forward. So you want to be able to do this in such a way that you can stand straight up and make a straight pencil. Anything else is going to cause the back to reflexively contract and it's not going to feel so great. So just pretend like you're making a nice, tall, lean pencil. And then I usually take a deep breath. When I get to the top, same thing when I come all the way down. So that's the first stretch. We're going to call that the pencil. The second one is, imagine that you've got an invisible line in front of you and you want your arms to match. So what I oftentimes recommend is really guided and slow. Just turn to the right and the left. So this is not a fast-paced motion. We're not whipping back and forth, right? We want to have nice and slow control. And what this is doing is giving the body the rotation to activate some of those muscles that we don't necessarily activate when we're just sitting in our chair. Now, one way that you could modify as well is instead of having the arms close to the body, you could go arms wide. So it helps you decide how far you can rotate on either side, but notice that it's nice and controlled on both directions. So we're going to call this the turn and twist. So we've got the pencil, we've got the turn and twist. Third exercise that we're going to do requires you to bend at the waist, okay? So we're going to keep a nice, firm, nice grounded stance at the knees. But what I want you to do is envision activating your core. This is known as the windmill. So arms out at your side, we're going to activate our core and our glutes, right? We're going to give them a little squeeze, and we're going to just bend gently to try and touch our opposite hand to opposite leg. So opposite hand to opposite leg means right hand to left shin, left hand to right shin, okay? So far we have the pencil with a deep breath. We have the turn and twist. We have the windmill. And now the last one is something that you can do more frequently. You can actually do desk work while this one happens. So I have a tennis ball. You could use really any ball. I would recommend something that's probably as light as this, but something a little bit bigger, okay? So if we take our seat here, okay, we have a seat here. The fun part is we're going to take this ball and we're going to just gently push it between our knees. And I'm going to apply enough pressure so that way the ball doesn't fall to the ground. So this does several things. Number one, it helps keep your posturing upright because if you start to slouch, your legs start to drop and you lose the ball. The second thing is it starts to activate the muscles that help stabilize the hips, which keep us nice and grounded throughout the day. So if you put the ball here, it keeps you focused on something. Posturing normally stays up. It's easier to type when you're like this. Without the ball, we have a tendency to start slouching and crossing our legs, and then we start to do a whole bunch of creative things because we get bored. You can't get bored when you're doing this because you're focused on it. You're activating the muscles. You're probably going to forget that you're doing it, and it's going to be really good to help keep you nice and centered and really straight on to whatever you're working on. Obviously, spinal stretches are only going to be helpful if you've already got an ergonomic, properly set up desk. and that it's appropriately adjusted to the height and you've properly hydrated that day. So my recommendation to you is these exercises can be done at work, but I oftentimes take these into, when I brush my teeth in the morning or in the evening. It becomes part of my habit. It helps you decide how your day is going to play out, and meaning that if you do these 4 stretches or exercises and it feels difficult, it feels laborious, that you feel tight, then guess what? Just take heed of that in that day. Make sure you're extra kind to yourself, extra graceful with some water. If it feels really great that day, then if you're feeling compelled, that's the day that you want to go to the gym. That's the day that you want to go for a walk with your spouse, your kids, etc. So I use exercises as a way to determine how I'm feeling that day, to figure out if I should push myself or if I should rein it in and maybe take a little bit more time and slow down the pace a little bit. Because your body will give you big indications as far as what's going on to help you decide how to best utilize your body for the day. Now, sitting in general is very complicated on the body. So most of you don't get the luxury of doing a standing desk. Try some of these. You'd be pleasantly surprised that even if you got to do just a handful of these on each side once an hour, you would be pleasantly surprised at how lubricated your joints start to feel and how awesome you start to feel day in and day out. I love good supportive shoes. Some of you can't, wear tennis shoes, but there's lots of great options out there. So more of this to come in other videos, but I wanted to go through these 4 stretches. Again, if you want to do some of these stretches seated, let's review one more time. So pencil, we can do in a seated position with a deep breath, right? We can do the turn and twist from a seated position. Third one, a little bit more complicated, but we can sit at our desk and do opposite knee, right? So you can rein these in if those are a little bit more difficult. And then obviously this one we're going to do seated as well, where we stick the ball between our legs and we just very gently hold it or squeeze so that way the ball doesn't fall. So I hope this video finds you well. I hope you really enjoyed these 4 gentle spinal stretches throughout the workday that you can use at any point without added equipment, and it will give you massive benefit to help improve your spinal stability. We'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed today's topic. Please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get more topics and information like this one.